You thought it was over. You believed this box office was so bad that we had finally seen the last of Pedro Pascal, Baby Grogu, and yes, The Mandalorian. But guess what? Lucasfilm, they're not done. And a major actor from the film says, there's more Mando on the way. But we gotta say, it all leads to the end of the sequel trilogy. It's a great and groovy day, folks. Thank you for coming our way. It is a pleasure as ever as we endeavor to explain entertainment. Keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we do with a passion, a zeal, that even the hallowed halls of Disney, they can feel. As we dive in, smash that like button. If you're not yet subscribed, do so today. And let's get on the way of explaining why a latest scoop out of Mando says Star Wars just might be ready for a mea culpa. Make it change. The main guy who plays Mando says the character will be back, but there is no guarantee how he's going to be back, and definitely not an assurance that a movie is on the way. It's all pointing towards perhaps the scoop that we had about Star Wars and the sequel trilogy reset, perhaps looking more likely every single day. Michael Patterson writing this one for Bam Smack Pow. The Mandalorian and Grogu future addressed by Star after box office struggles. And I'm happy they're calling this man a star. No, it's not Pedro, by the way. Is there a way back to either screen for the Mandalorian and Grogu? One of the film's stars has a surprising answer. It's surprising because Bam Smack Pow knows that this is damaged so badly now that all the little Grogu toys are probably being canceled. And no, we don't get them out in Christmas. Nobody wants them. The Mando action figures are going to be put to ollies. It's a sad thing for Star Wars, eh? It says it's safe to say that The Mandalorian and Grogu was one of the most high-profile releases of the year so far. If not, one of the most successful, because it's not. Even so, the Star Wars movie underperformed at the box office. Its isolated performance was fine for a typical movie. No, it wasn't. But for one attached to one of the biggest film franchises of all time and one of the most popular Disney Plus shows since the streamer's inception, it underperformed. Despite a slightly better than expected opening weekend, it wasn't. That was all part of that fake narrative they put out. The flick saw a huge 70% decline in its second weekend, leaving Star Wars fans feeling very deflated. Or maybe they feel great, elated, I would say, because the message sent. Signal delivered. Low-budget horror movies, Obsession and Backrooms, are now catching up to its current box office total. They're surpassing it. Naturally, the futures of Din Djarin and Grogu, as well as that of the Star Wars franchise itself, are unclear. But here's what you need to know. Now, the way this article presents it, because I don't think they're keen on what we have to say, they're talking about a sequel could happen. But that's not actually what's being said. There could be a way for more Mando and Grogu stories, according to Brendan Wayne, grandson of the Duke himself, John Wayne. One of the three actors credited for playing Din Djarin himself, and by the way, we think he plays Mando most of the time. There is a future for both the beloved Star Wars characters, or there's a future for both of the beloved Star Wars characters, Mando and Grogu. I don't think they're beloved anymore, but okay. I'm being harsh with this author, but I have to. Speaking at Fan Expo, Philadelphia, last weekend, he was certain that the double act would return. Quote, here's the quote from the guy who plays Mando most of the time. We also know, or maybe only I do, that there is definitely a place in the world for more of us. I think the audiences have given us the permission to proceed. I don't know if it's going to be on the small screen or the big screen. My guess is the big screen, but I'm looking forward to it. Now, there is no more Mando on Disney Plus, and there's no way that they're going to greenlight a sequel to a film that's going to lose or come short of the break even by like $150 to $300 million. So, Lauren, when I look at this, the story that we've heard that they're going to try to strap Ahsoka and Mando onto a legacy character and wrap this thing up with a world between worlds, probably Anakin, probably Hayden. Lauren, it's looking more and more likely every day to me, and the signs seem to be pointing that way. And I find it interesting that the Duke's grandson says, maybe I only know this. Maybe he has had some talks. What do you think, Lauren?
Well, I agree with you that I don't think that this is going to be a continuation of the Mandalorian series. I think that they have determined that that's too expensive. At the same time, they can't greenlight a follow-up to this movie because it wasn't a movie.
Right.
And the real corner that they're painted in is that they still need to have additional character development. Now, I disagreed with Fake Wizard and some of the others on the idea that there was no character development in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I believe there was, but not enough to continue on. My suspicion is that they'll probably be roped into Ahsoka in some way. I don't know that they can get enough development there either. They may try and do this. I don't think they're in a position to do it. They've still got a lot of making up to do to the audience before they're going to feel good about trying to wrap all of this stuff up. And anything that they do is going to feel like a rush job that's sloppy. That's the corner they painted themselves into.
I think they're waiting to see how Ahsoka season 2 performs. And I think they're waiting on Starfighter. But I think ultimately they know, and the C-suite knows, that this has to go to a sequel trilogy reset. And one of the reasons that I think that's now obvious that they understand this, whether they do it or not, there's nothing going on with a Rey movie. There's nothing going on with the High Republic. Like, we have run out of stories now. There's nothing else to tell.
The one big thing, and there's a ticking clock on them now because next year is the 50th anniversary. They have to begin making announcements of some kind. They've got to start trying to get the hype train going again in some way, and nobody trusts them. So what they have to lead with is the release of the original 77 A New Hope without the A New Hope subtitle. The original release, they've got to lead with that because that's the thing that'll get the audiences hyped. But they need something else. It's got to be a publishing initiative. It's got to be something that will be universally accepted somehow. And I just don't see how that works. I hope they got a rabbit they could pull out of their hat, but I just don't see what it could be.
Guys, we're in a position now where it looks very unlikely that it tops $200 million, the domestic box office. $200 million is gone for the international, and $350 is the worldwide. Looks tough. So they can't make a sequel.
Hey!
I know.
What's that worldwide box office at?
I know.
You remember the number that I put out for the final wrap?
310.
311. I said
it's gonna top 311.
Oh, I thought you said 310.
No, it's gonna top 311. But
you made a liar out of me, Lauren.
You really think
called it?
You think it's going to top 311?
Yeah, it's gonna trickle. It's gonna trickle to like 320-ish, somewhere around there. But that's so close. I mean, listen, I'm not taking anything from you. You got it really close.
I still don't think it's going to get up there. I think they're going to pull this thing within the next couple of
years.
years.
Losing theaters. It is losing theaters like crazy. So we need to keep that in mind.
And that's possible. They may not want it to compete with Toy Story. So they could pull it for the very fact of saying, well, why would we want to have this taking screens that we could give to Jessie the Cowgirl?
Let me ask this question. They said that they were going to put out this new special edition with the director commentary. Have they already done that?
I don't know. Have they?
If they have done that and it doesn't bounce the ticket sales, they'll pull it on the 22nd. They'll only let this thing run for a month.
It's not going to bounce anything. Okay, so Andy, I think we're going to a sequel trilogy reset. A lot of people have said that's never going to happen. It's crazy. I don't think they have a choice. I mean, I think we are at the end of this. There is no more market for Star Wars as it currently is constituted as a Disney. You either reset it or you let it sit because it's done.
The rabbit Lauren's talking about pulling out of their hat is actually a skunk that identifies as a rabbit, and it's going to be the big problem. They have none of their ideas have worked. Now they have to choose between recognizing that none of their ideas have worked. The things that they thought were good ideas turned out to not be good ideas. They're going to have to go back and they have to get rid of the sequel trilogy. If they don't realize by now, it's that millstone around their neck as they're trying to swim. They're going to have to do something that's going to give, even if they just suggest, they don't have to even necessarily do anything, just say that things are not going to go in that direction now because Ahsoka has sacrificed herself and is going to change things into a different direction. They don't even have to necessarily put that on screen right away. Just say something pivotal that was supposed to happen where Luke becomes what he turns into. People want to see that. I remember the talk when Starkiller was out in The Force Unleashed, where he was doing all these cool things like pulling Star Destroyers out of the sky, and people wanted to see Jedi Master Luke do that. And instead, we have him toss the lightsaber over his shoulder and die of a Force overdose. They have to go back into something classic, because without screwing it up, that's the most important thing. Not to screw it up, because they've shown us that they are perfectly capable and willing to screw things up from what was popular. If they think this is going to be a sequel, The Mandalorian at best is a side character. It's a show that would have done really well if the franchise itself was healthy. It's just like Marvel in that you would have had a lot of side movies, side themes in Marvel, a cosmic side, a street level side, a mystical side, if the main franchise was healthy. But once they tanked it, everything else goes along with it. It's kind of like when you have a store in a shopping plaza and the anchor store goes down. Now the Five Guys is closing up, the Five Below is closing up, the nail place is closing up because the anchor store is no longer there. That pretty much sums up the state that they're in.
So I'm not making this as an actual suggestion. I'm being facetious here. But what if they did a meta retcon where instead of having the Luke wakes up and realizes it's all a dream, something in a similar vein, revealed that episodes 7, 8, and 9 were actually Imperial remnant propaganda that they had produced to indicate to the followers of their worlds that Luke was washed up in bed and that the actual heir to the Jedi tradition was the heir of Palpatine, and that's why we're going to win. And then it's revealed in the actual episode 7 that they're going down in flames while the Jedi Order marches forward under Luke's leadership.
Can we get a Kathleen lookalike who, the final Kathleen stand-in, the doppelganger? Hey, Wiz, here's what I think is going to happen, and I think I think they're forecasting this for us. We just have to listen now to what they're saying and go, yep, here we go. Hayden Christensen will appear in at least 2 more Star Wars projects post Ahsoka. Barside Buzz from LRM Online. I mean, Wiz, the only thing we have left is that we know that Hayden Christensen will be there, and that means that Anakin will be. Anakin is the future of whatever they're going to do. There's no doubt about that. That's not a question anymore. It's what are they going to do with Anakin? But the future they have decided, post whatever that meeting was with the Disney executives, is Anakin.
And it's not going to be enough. And it's going to ruin how people perceive Anakin. It's going to deal more damage to Star Wars. But it's not going to matter anymore. And I know Lauren is going to say that this is like kind of a blackpilling take, but I'm just speaking from the normie consumer perspective. If I'm a business person trying to make a sale,
I don't think you can blackpill anymore after this box office, Wiz.
I'm not going to accuse you of blackpilling. I will accuse you of blackpilling on the Mando and Grogu movie, not on Star Wars
that was
itself.
A pile of garbage. That movie was a pile of garbage. They shouldn't have shipped it. It should have been relegated to Disney Plus. I should not have had to have paid to see that in theaters.
I think we all agree there. Disney Plus was the appropriate place. Oh, go ahead, Wiz. Go ahead.
Right. Everything. So Lauren just made a very interesting case of like, well, what if they were to do this with the story? The problem is anything that we would come up with and anything that they would come up with to try to explain away or to shove away or to move away from mistakes that have been made, the normal audience that makes a $1 billion movie doesn't care. If we look right now at Marvel is currently going through what looks to be 2 months of reshoots on Doomsday, because Doomsday is at a pivotal, the pinnacle point now, where if this movie ships and fails, you will lose they understand the stakes now for Doomsday. And I know it's Marvel and Star Wars, it's different things, but it's not in this case. Because Doomsday is in the position right now of creating the next Star Wars collapse, where Marvel will be gone and won't be able to come back. So they are sparing no expense. This Doomsday movie has to hit, even if we take a massive loss on it, it'll keep the franchise alive. And for Star Wars, it's too far gone, right? You cannot get them back. So Doomsday, they're gonna reshoot it 1,000 times over. They'll leak all of the scripts imaginable just to see how people respond to them, just to see what the nerds say, and then we're gonna come back and change things. Star Wars never operated like that. It was always an internal thing. We know better than the fans. The fans are stupid. The fans are istophobes. You're terrible if you hate everything that we do. Also, oh my gosh, people aren't buying. Well, that's impossible because what we're making is incredible. What we're making is state of the art. We're sparing no expense. There's no way we could have done this wrong. It doesn't matter. You don't need the Disney shills, and you actually don't need the legacy fans as much as we like to believe we're very important. We are important, but we're not as important as the unattached, unemotional normie that makes $1 billion movie. That's what you need.
That's the thing that I will disagree with you on, which is that unattached, unemotional normie looks to the diehard fans to determine whether to buy the ticket.
I don't disagree with that at all. 100%. I agree with you there. But when we look at The Force Awakens, it was a universal, a fresh entry point for people to get on the Star Wars boat.
But I will posit that the reason for that was, at the time, all of the hate was for the prequels. And everybody thought, well, maybe if we get George out of the picture, we can get good Star Wars again. Now we've had this. No such passage of time is going to make anybody think that we're going to get something better next time.
Well, let me see if I understand that right. So what you're saying is that the prequels are qualitatively poor films, maybe, okay? They're qualitatively poor, but they don't destroy the franchise. They don't deconstruct the mythos. The sequels under Disney, we found out what it looks like when you actually despise the original source and you want to completely invert it, and then you do destroy it, right? So there's a difference in the execution was lacking, and we executed the whole thing on purpose.
Right, and I would also say that George was ahead of the audience a little bit. He did hit on the prequels with the intended audience, and as they grew and got deeper into it, it did go through a critical reevaluation, and I think deservedly so. I've still got some quibbles with the prequels, but my God, compared to what they gave us with the sequels, they're a friggin' masterpiece.
Guys, chances now that Anakin shows up in a Dave Filoni verse, he and Ahsoka walk the little light bridge, and the world between worlds, she has to become whatever the mother, sister, daughter, whatever this crazy stuff is. And it resets the timeline, and the sequels exist, but they exist swept away. And we start all over again with Jedi Master Luke in 5, 6, 7 years.
They're not going to undo what they've done. They're not going to undo the sequels. It would be so damaging. They would be.
What's worse? What's worse, Wiz? They're losing $250 million on the movie. What's worse? I feel like Clark Griswold on Christmas Eve. We're the precipice of hell, Wiz.
Not to break this into a massive tangent, but if we look at the level of shift that is happening with Masters of the Universe right now with Amazon, that terrifies me for what Disney is going to do when they figure out that strategy might work as a way to make shareholders appeased with our losses.
Hold on though. You got to, because we're bringing it. Yeah, you got to explain that. Go for it.
Right. So right now we've just gotten through the first weekend of, actually I need to back up further. Mandalorian and Grogu is an absolute collapse, total failure. Yes, we know, we've talked about it. We've confirmed. However, the goal posting has been shifted now, where all of the shills that don't know what to do have either gone dark, silent, or they've started saying, well, it's actually not about the box office anymore. It's about toy sales and merchandise sales. It's about advertising dollars. It's about collabs with other companies. See, they are searching. They're looking for a way to explain it away. Masters of the Universe, just this past weekend, has elevated the ante to a level I never could have seen coming. And now they're saying that, oh, well, actually, Masters of the Universe going to theaters was part of our holistic release approach, because Amazon Prime is a streamer. And so now, if it's just going to the box office and it takes a loss at the box, well, it didn't matter that it was a loss at the box office because it was only ever going to go to streaming anyway. We're making up all of this money in other places, and therefore it's not a loss. We didn't lose anything. We're making the money up on the streamers, and we still control the narrative, despite the fact that they'll lose $100 million making the thing. And in the case of Star Wars and Disney, I think they're paying attention. And I think that's the next thing that's going to happen. We're going to see it with Supergirl. That's my next guess. Supergirl is going to be, we're shipping it to HBO Max in a couple of weeks. This thing is going to crush it. We're killing it. Oh, it was our holistic approach.
Because, okay, I'm with you on the He-Man thing. I can't go with you on Supergirl because I actually think that the people who own Supergirl dislike the guy in charge of Supergirl.
So they want it to burn.
I think the Ellisons, I think they're so done with Gunn.
I think Disney is going to shake it up on this, and they are going to start using this as a metric of movement to shift the goalpost so that the box office isn't the way we've seen this in gaming before. Like we've legitimately seen this in gaming with the streaming services and video games, that they want to use that to be able to prove that games aren't failing, because at point of sale if point of sale is no longer a metric for success, then the corporations control every part of the narrative.
I will say the good news is we're going to know within a year what's going to happen, because they absolutely must have something for next year. And if they don't, they're beyond cooked. And I think there's a good argument to be made. They're already beyond cooked. I'm pretty much in complete agreement with you at this point, Fake Wizard. That's why I'm saying you can't black pill me on Star Wars at this point, because I don't see a way to fix it. My only disagreement with you was how you and some others rated The Mandalorian and Grogu. And the reason for that is,
it's not a movie.
I agree with you it's not a movie. I agree with you it shouldn't have been theatrically released. My disagreement is that if you would score it differently depending on where it's released, then you're not really rating the story. You're not really, because it's the same no matter where it is.
So Pro is going to do a rare thing here and say if we follow that, we're going to be on a 20-minute discussion of it. So let's table that for the moment, because I really want to hear what Andy has to say about everything we've said. Andy, get in here and tell us your thoughts on the chances of a double down He-Man style.
Okay, so I agree where you're coming from, Wiz, with the idea that they're going to try and deflect blame and say, look, we did this to make money over here. But the problem, the fly in the ointment of that is there's an Ollie's out there where all these toys are going to go to, and everybody's going to see that they don't sell. We remember back when Star Wars was at its heyday, and you would walk into Toys R Us and Walmart, and you would see these gigantic displays of action figures everywhere and plush toys, and the entire store was just filled with Star Wars, and it all sold. And at the end, you had a little bit of stuff left over. Something Lauren said a few weeks ago was that not only do they have to get rid of the sequel trilogy because it is a cancer, but then after that, they've got to hit a home run, and then you got to hit another home run after that. That's the thing that's really the tough part. I don't know that they have the talent to do this. And I think that everybody's has a niche now. There are so many options for things to watch. No one feels committed they have to go see anything anymore, because there's something else that they can go see in another corner that's going to take up their attention and their money that they don't have to go check out. There's nothing that makes you feel like, hey, there's no FOMO that I have to be part of this. And the toy sales have evaporated because there's not that many kids anymore. And the ones that are out there want to rather play electronic games, which they're not doing either. If they were smart, which they're not, they would be catering to this and making, if the kids are playing electronically, then make some electronic games and then make some action figures that go along with the electronic game. That's how you could take Wiz's model and make it into something that's going to be multifaceted. But where they have it now, it's just like, look, as soon as we get the ball back out of left field, the game will be back on. And they're hoping that by the time the ball gets back into play, there's something else they can distract with. At this point, I think it's cooked. They definitely have got to get rid of the sequel trilogy, because without that, you're never going to get the diehard fans back or the classic fans back. So you have to do that. And then the normies can follow, because they're going to be like, oh, these guys know what they're talking about, and I'll listen to them because they know what Star Wars was. So they need a two-prong attack with this to salvage it. Get rid of the sequels and make something of quality and prove they can do that. And that's where I think is their biggest problem.
And just a reminder, every year that they don't have a home run, is another year of generational loss. Kids today don't remember when Star Wars was big. And it may be their grandkids one day if this doesn't get changed at Disney. Nobody in the C-suite right now at Disney is emotionally or legacy attached to what happened with the sequels. It's in their interest to drop it. And the hubris of Bob Iger has left the building. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for checking out the video today. It's such a pleasure every time we get to endeavor together, explaining entertainment and keeping you ahead of the culture curve. If you would be so kind, folks, swerve on down to that like button wherever you may find it and click it, please. It helps us. And you are the gigawatts that send us far and wide across the fruited plains of YouTube. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
You better hang on to your feathers, little bird. They need to put you in the show.
What? Jose, what are you listening to? You don't even have ears.
Vacation Radio 24/7. Original music on YouTube. Vacation Radio. WDW Pro's music channel.
I have no idea what you're saying. But if you want to be listening to music, you should head over to Vacation Radio 24/7 on YouTube. One of the 100 other channels WDW Pro's been working on. Oh, and I have a song for you, Jose. Jose Cowabunga. He is Jose Cowabunga. That one seems a little bit foreign to you.
Play, Jose, play!